Hello everyone, this is the repo in which we are currently working, and if you go below over here you can see that we have created all of the endpoints for the users as well as of the courses. The only one endpoint which is remaining is of this, in which we are supposed to enroll a user or a student in a course, right? So we will send a request like this, where the header parameter would be of course ID, and the body would contain the user ID which is supposed to be added to the course. Okay, so if you are following through the course, you can just go to this particular branch. So for example, if you are stuck anywhere, I also explained this in the very first video, and you can go to the commits, and for that particular video you would find the code over here by the name, by the number of the video, so that if you are stuck you can just copy paste the code and make sure that works, and then you figure out what problem you were stuck in. So moving forward, let's try and implement this particular endpoint. So let's go here. So I just want to make one more change in the schema that we created earlier in the course over here. So as you can see in if you're coming from Node.js, we would just be using a string over here. So this is good enough, but we could make a certain mistake in a string, right? So let's try and make this a proper TypeScript code. Okay, so in order to do that, let's import users schema from source user schema user.schema, and then use it in here in a reference. So let me try and do that. As you can see, I have used here ref user.name, so that string is removed, and this is now properly TypeScript code. So let's do and make the same thing here for the students as well. So it is done. So this is a minor change that I wanted to make in the course schema to make it a proper TypeScript code. So let's move forward now. So let's go to the controller now over here, and we have to add another endpoint which is of enroll. So I will try and do that now. So as you can see, I have added an endpoint here which is of a type post, because we are trying to create something, right? And this is the the endpoint and enroll and the course ID. So here the course ID should be a parameter which is going to be got from the HTTP header, and the user ID is supposed to be coming from the body, right? Now it is giving us an error that enroll doesn't exist in the code service. So let's try and create that as well. Just make it a dummy code for now over here. Okay, so in the code service, let me go to the service files like this, and in here I will make async enroll. So okay, so GitHub gave a lot of code. I will just comment it out or remove it for now. Let's just return something like this for now. So we will do all of this one by one. Let's try and work on other things first, then we will be working on this enroll code properly. So first what I want to do is I want to inject users model in the course module, right? So that I can also make certain users operation within this module, because I'm going to be needing it. For example, I want to check if a user exists or not, or stuff like that. So in order to perform users operation in a course module, I have to implement some sort of injection. So let's try and do that. Let's go to the course module first over here, and in here I will try and import user, just like I have done this for the course as well, right? So let me do this over here like this, and then make the changes in this entirely. So in this entire imports I will make this particular change like this. So what you can see here, now the course module has access to two different models. One model is course model and another model is users model. So since we are going to be using both of them in our enroll endpoint, so that is why I did this thing. So let's go to this enroll endpoint. Now what I want to do is I want to put some sort of validation first. For example, I am having two different like course and user ID. I want to verify if a course exists. If it doesn't exist, then throw an error. If a user exists, if the user does not exist, then throw an error. So these are the two different validations that I want to put, right? So I will do this const course exists, something like this, and this will give me a validation over here. And similarly to the user, uh, is equals to await this dot user model dot find by id. I think let's just use, okay, so it is not able to recognize user model because I think I have not imported it over here. So let's do that first. So I have to do this at the very top over here, I guess. Yes. So I have to do inject model user.name private user model, something like this. And I will have to import this from over here. So the user document should be imported as well. Okay, so that should work now. So coming here, const user exists is equals to this dot user model dot exists, something like this. So you can use exists here as well. I'm just using exists here. If you want, you can, do it either way. So I will try and see if it works or not. If it doesn't work, I will make the changes, but I think these two ways can work as well. There are minor differences. For example, user access would return true or false or null or stuff like that. There are minor differences. If you want, you can study these differences, but these are the two ways that can work as well. Find one would also work if you want to just verify these things. Maybe there could be performance issues or stuff like that. Other than that, these can be used for validations purpose as well. So moving forward, let's do another check. The check would be to make sure that the instructor himself is not enrolled as an student in his own course. So that is like one of the really important check that we need to put. So let's do that. So coming here, I will paste this validation. So I think let me change it by this. So and paste this. Okay, so now what I'm doing here is I'm checking. So this is the check. So for example, course.instructor would be an object ID. So I'm converting it into a string, and then I am checking it. So if the course instructor is equal to the user ID that is coming to me from the header request, then that means that particular user is of an instructor, and that should not be added as an student in his own course. For example, I am an instructor for a course. Obviously, I can't be enrolled as an student in the same course that I am teaching, right? So that is one of the validation that needs to be there. So another validation should be, third validation that I want to put is, for example, um, you are an student, right? So you are added into my course. So if you hit a request again, you should not be added again, right? There should not be any sort of duplication. So for example, if a user is enrolled as a student once, he shouldn't be enrolled twice. So let's move ahead and put that particular validation as well. So in order to do that, I will be pasting this code here and then explain it, something like this. Okay, so const user, so this is the filtration object over here. What I'm doing here is I am sending course ID as well as user ID. So if a document like that matches in that particular collection, that means that user is already enrolled in the course, and I will be sending this response over there. So most of the validations are now put in place. The last thing that we have to do is we have to add the user into the course. So we will be using a different thing, which is a push command, which I will just show you now. So what you can do to add a course here is use this. So what I'm doing here currently is that I'm using find by ID and update. So what I am updating, I am updating a course. So course ID is supposed to be the first parameter. So you send an ID. So we learned this find by ID, right? So find by ID, in the very first parameter, in the very first argument, we send what we send an ID that we want to update, and in the second we send the object that we want to update. So here I am using push. Push means that it appends anything into an array, right? So if you go to the schema over here, here you can see that students is of type array, and by default whenever you create a course, it creates the course by an empty array of the students. So what we have to do is we have to push the students if they want to enroll, and pull the students if they want to get out of the course, right? So that is why I have used this push over here. So in push we are going to use the property name, which is students, and then the user ID, which is the object ID that is coming from the request. So let's try and hit it from the postman, and I will also further explain all of this into the MongoDB so that these things can be clearly explained as well. So let's go over here in the postman and create a new request. So localhost 3000, and in here I have to do course and then enroll and then the course ID. So for the course ID I will try and find one course ID. Let's do with the very first. So there is only one. Okay, so paste it over here, and in the body raw JSON, in here I will put an object like this, user ID, then ID of a user. Let's find a user ID here. So I will do the first one here as well. I'm not sure who is the instructor for this course. Let me verify that, or that can be validated from the validation as well. So let's hit and send it here. Okay, so it is supposed to be a post request. My bad. Instructor cannot enroll in his course. So this is the ID of the instructor. Let's try and use a different ID. So use this here. See, the students array is now appended over here. Okay, so that is like a really cool stuff to do. So if you go to the MongoDB compass and come over here and hit find, you will see that students in is an array, and there is now an appended object over here. So you can now create as many users and then add them as an students over here as well. So that is like a pretty fun stuff to do, a bit more complicated than other videos because this was a bit long and I put all of those validations in one video, but I guess this was much worth it. I hope I was able to explain it in simpler terms. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments below. Thank you for watching.